Good morning, dear students. In this video, I would like to discuss the fourth scene from the first act of William Shakespeare's play Macbeth. In this act, we find that King Duncan arrives in his palace awaiting the arrival of Macbeth. We have already seen that Macbeth fought a battle and saved the country from the enemies. Here, the scene takes place in King's palace, where the king and his sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, with the retinue, welcomes or awaits the arrival of Macbeth. We find that King discusses with his associates, that is his king and other members in the palace, about the heroic acts that were done by Macbeth. He praises Macbeth for the efforts that he made to save the country from the enemies. Then we find also there was an incident that happened in the first scene itself. We found that Thane of Cawdor became a treasurer and he assisted the enemies. As a result, the king ordered for his execution. And in this scene, we find that the king discusses this matter with his sons. He asks Malcolm about the execution. He wants to know whether the execution is already done. Malcolm says that he has got a report from an eyewitness what happened there. During the execution of Thane of Cawdor, he pleads for the mercy of the king, and he describes what all things that the Thane of Cawdor mentioned at that time. Here we also find that the king mentions about the Thane of Cawdor, and he says that he had great trust in him, and he also mentions that one cannot judge a person from one's look. This is very important because we will come to know that later on Macbeth himself turns out to be a villain. At this moment in this play, we find Macbeth is praised by the king for the efforts that he made. But we find later on Macbeth himself turns out to be a villain. So that's another thing. But here in this context, he says that one cannot be valued or judged by one's appearance. Then we find that Macbeth arrives and King Duncan praises him, and here the discussion takes place where Macbeth says that it is his duty and responsibility to save the country. As a token of love and appreciation for what Macbeth achieved for the country, Duncan announces that he will go to his palace, that means his place Inverness, that is the name of the place where Macbeth resides. He will go with his children and will share their love and as a recognition of what he achieved for the country. So this made Macbeth very happy. And in this scene also we find Macbeth is formally announced as the Thane of Cawdor, and also here he makes another important announcement. That is, the king announces Malcolm, his son, as the future king, his heir to the throne. He announces him as the Prince of Cumberland. That means Malcolm will become his heir to the throne. He will be the next king. This is the announcement that he made. This is something that Macbeth was really disturbed, because we have already seen that the witches predicted that Macbeth becomes, or Macbeth will become, the future king of Scotland. But here Malcolm is announced as the future king of Scotland. And also we find that the king Duncan praises Bango also for his efforts that he made for the country. Anyway, we find the scene ends when Macbeth offers the king or asks the king's permission to go to his residence before the arrival of the king, to give the information to his wife and also to make enough preparation to welcome the king. The king agrees for his suggestion, and we find that Macbeth leaves. So this is what happens in this scene. Here we find that an important announcement from the part of the king makes Macbeth disturbed, and we will find what is going to happen when Duncan reaches his palace and the remaining things that happens in this play. I request all of you to go through this play and enjoy it. I will stop here. That's it for the day. Thank you so much.